Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Living in seclusion in Huyang City. The enormous face in the sky seemed somewhat incredulous. In the Land of Origin, not every cultivator from the primal chaos realm was willing to join a nation and be granted a title because, although owning a fief brought a continuous output of resources, it also tied them to too many obligations. The more one possessed, the more entwining the consequences became. Many from the primal chaos realm preferred to occupy a remote area and cultivate in peace. Great ones like Great Saint Ju Yuan, Great Saint Ju Efeng, and others did the same. They gave up many resources, but also avoided many troubles. Some of them went into complete hiding, disguised as ordinary cultivators, quietly cultivating and hoping that one day they would fully comprehend the Tao and step into the godly king tier. I attacked the Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture, and I actually encountered a hidden cultivator at the pinnacle of Primal Chaos. Marquis Liu Yin felt that his luck was particularly bad, and he even once proposed a hiring price of 2 billion cosmic sand. If he had known he was a hidden cultivator at the pinnacle of primal chaos, let alone 2 billion cosmic sand, even 20 billion cosmic sand, Marquis Liu Yin would gladly have paid to hire him. But now, everything was too late. The situation had developed to this point. This hidden cultivator Luo He had completely moved to the opposition. This brother Luo He is actually at the pinnacle of primal chaos. Marquis of Zhujiang, who had escaped and appeared inside the city owner's mansion, was utterly delighted. 1 billion cosmic sand could hire someone from the pinnacle of primal chaos. What kind of luck is this? Luo He. In the dark crimson sky, that enormous face stared at Luo Feng. As a hidden cultivator of the primal chaos realm, must you interfere in the conflict between Marquis of Zhujiang and me? I originally had no intention of intervening. What does your feud over fiefs have to do with me? Luo Feng shook his head lightly, but your subordinates have repeatedly killed the innocent, and it happened within the city where I reside in seclusion. How could I tolerate this? Marquis Liu Yin's thoughts shifted. Indeed. Shui Yun committed a massacre originally, and in the end, Luo He chased him out of the city and still killed Shui Yun. The Heart Shadow sect entered the city, and initially, Luo He was tolerant. But when the Heart Shadow sect began to loot the entire city and slaughter on a large scale, Luo He took action. The two armies clashed. From start to finish, Luo He demonstrated the overwhelming strength of an eternal true god, taking 1 billion cosmic sand, and indeed played the role worthy of 1 billion cosmic sand. However, when Liu Yinyang captured 10 billion blood food, Luo He made his move. A bunch of idiots, bringing me great trouble. Marquis Liu Yin looked down upon Luo Feng, and although he understood that the situation had turned sour, he was still full of confidence in himself. Luo He, no matter the reason, since you have intervened, I want to see whether you really have the power to interfere. Marquis Liu Yin's voice resonated powerfully. The sound, carrying a sinister attack of will, arrived in an instant. Marquis Liu Yin, as a cultivator at the pinnacle of primal chaos, had his spiritual will honed over the long years to barely enter the godly king tier. Knowing Luo his fearsome strength, he began to give his all. Your secret technique of willpower, buzzing like an insect. Luo Feng frowned slightly, it's truly annoying. His will is not at all inferior to mine, completely unshakable. Marquis Liu Yin became even more certain, this was an old fellow who had cultivated for who knows how long, his spiritual will honed to an extremely terrifying degree. If you have no tricks left, just scram. Luo Feng flicked his sleeve. 8,000 galaxy-like blade lights swept across, instantly sweeping the heavens and earth, cleansing all. The blood fire was all extinguished, leaving only a primal chaos current. While Marquis Liu Yin's incarnation of the Bloodfire world covered a vast area. Luo Feng's 8,000 galaxy only impacted less than 1/10 of it, and even knowing Luo Feng's technique afterward, Marquis Liu Yin's divine power retreated to a far distance. The damage this time was much smaller than the first. Accompanied by many spatial layers naturally healing, the world returned to calm, the Bloodfire world spread over once again. HMPH, along with a cold snort in the world. Then, Bloodfire ignited on Luo Feng's body surface as he carefully felt it. To himself, he seemed to have become the enemy of a vast world, endless malice converging upon him, with Bloodfire burning and corroding. No trace, eroding my body out of thin air. Luo Feng looked in surprise. Compared to my foolish 8,000 blade light, Marquis Liu Yin's technique is indeed much more bizarre. Useless. The incarnation of the Bloodfire world, Marquis Liu Yin, indeed sensed that the Bloodfire could hardly damage Luo Feng's body. Booming tilde 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 tilde. Suddenly, the entire Bloodfire world erupted with booming sounds. The world's power of this Bloodfire world nearly converged at one point, and in front of Luo Feng out of nowhere, a figure clad in dark crimson armor appeared. The moment this dark crimson armored figure appeared, he had already chopped towards Luo Feng's shoulder. Luo Feng was quick to react, otherwise, the blow would have landed on his head. This is the world's body. Luo Feng had learned detailed information about Marquis Liu Yin from Emperor Chu Yu, knowing that this dark crimson armored figure was not Marquis Liu Yin's true body, but the world's body formed from the conjured power of the entire Bloodfire world. The world's body, gathering the power of an entire world, held immense strength, making close combat naturally terrifying. And even if it was destroyed, it would only disperse into the world's force, not harming Marquis Liu Yin's true body. Such a strong blade, and it appeared suddenly before me, hardly giving me any chance to dodge. Luo Feng still stood in midair, looking at the blade edge on his shoulder. The dark crimson armored figure had struck Luo Feng's shoulder, and was also astonished. Because the blade had an even cut through Luo Feng's black robe on his shoulder. As for the skin, it was completely unscathed. Hiss, hiss, hiss tilde tilde tilde, Luo Feng's black robe on his body surface instantly had countless black liquids flowing, instantly enveloping the blade, and even enveloping the entire body of the dark crimson armored man. Engaging me in close combat. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. Of the 15 transformation methods he mastered, apart from the galaxy transformation method that specialized in domain techniques, the other methods were oriented towards close combat. Luo Feng carefully selected 5 transformation methods to use regularly. Thus, in regular combat, the galaxy transformation method was used for long-range encounters, while the other 4 methods were for close combat. Luo Feng's close combat strength was far more terrifying than his long-range capabilities. His tilde 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 tilde. The man clad in dark red armor wrapped in black liquid, under the horrific constraints of immense force, disintegrated instantly, leaving only the long blade with bloodfire patterns behind. What a fine weapon, Luo Feng said, holding the blade. For the body of the world to have enough explosive close combat strength, Marquis Liu Yin naturally equipped it with the best weapon, which was a top-quality weapon among those in the primal chaos realm. This blade, suitable for a pinnacle of primal chaos cultivator, is worth at least 5 billion cosmic sand, Luo Feng commented approvingly, then quickly stowed it away in the star tower. Luo Feng looked up at the Bloodfire world high in the sky. Marquis Liu Yin, do you have any other tricks up your sleeve? Luo Feng asked leisurely. How is that possible? At that moment, Marquis Liu Yin couldn't believe it. My world's body, empowered by the entire strength of the Bloodfire world, immensely powerful, yet it was so easily overcome by that black liquid. The oppressive binding force crushed the world's body instantaneously. The gap in close combat was too vast. No wonder I thought his techniques were crude. It turns out he specializes in his physical body, which is far stronger than my world's body. Marquis Liu Yin instantly recognized their disparity. Every pinnacle of primal chaos realm cultivator has their own path they excel in. Marquis Liu Yin's forte was transforming into the bloodfire world, rendering his true body untouchable by enemies. *ea the novelia.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yet, if one focused on physical prowess and cultivated to the pinnacle of primal chaos realm, their physical body would be tremendously terrifying. Even ancient beings, who had just entered the godly king tier, found it incredibly challenging to completely obliterate a physical body at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm. Such powerful beings were suited for confinement, sealing. Typically, they required a long period of attrition to gradually erase them. Your godly body is strong, but I want to see if it truly has no weaknesses. Marquis Liu Yin, unwilling to give up easily, let the bloodfire world surge vehemently, as formless forces constantly descended, attempting to penetrate Luo Feng's godly body. These formless forces included strange blood, burning flames, and the power of calamities. All sorts of bizarre forces kept infiltrating. Marquis Liu Yin knew well that while some powerful physical bodies appeared invincible, if infiltrated by some special forces, they might just succeed and completely erode them. You want to wear down my godly body? Ha ha ha, Luo Feng suddenly burst into laughter. Boom tilde. Luo Feng's stature suddenly surged to an unimaginably immense height. He had passed through countless cloud layers, and his head had reached the edge of the starry sky. Looking up, Luo Feng could see countless miniature galaxies. At this moment, one of his fingertips was much larger than Huyang City. The vastness of his size shocked even Marquis Liu Yin. What? He can maintain such a massive godly body? Marquis Liu Yin exclaimed, touching the edge of the starry space. Although an unlimited godly body can be large or small, the larger it is, the stronger the world's suppression it faces. Standing on the ground with his head touching the edge of the starry space. Moreover, higher realms, under supreme rules, forbid touching, preventing damage to those miniature galaxies. This height was now the maximum a cultivator could achieve in size. Only a venerable godly king can reach this height. Even focusing on the physical body at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm, such a size is somewhat inconceivable. Marquis Liu Yin was well aware that sometimes, size could indeed indicate strength. A godly body maintained at such a celestial height signifies endless might. Begone! Luo Feng bellowed, his palms covering the entire bloodfire world, and with a wave, he completely shattered it into primal chaos. Buzz! When the bloodfire world shattered, using the world's power, the formless force instantly escaped to a far distance. There it transformed into a bloodfire body, now the significantly more injured Marquis Liu Yin. Luo He, if you're willing to stay out of the conflict between me and Marquis of Zhujiang, we can discuss terms. Marquis Liu Yin spoke from afar. I've got this place secured, the towering godly body as high as the heavens declared mightily, his voice booming. Marquis Liu Yin's expression turned grim. He knew well that he had territories, numerous subordinates, countless clan members, and much too much at stake. And Luo He, merely a recluse at the pinnacle of primal chaos. Those close to him amounted to an old servant and a disciple. Such an unburdened cultivator, at the pinnacle of primal chaos, would give even a godly king headaches. They would not be easily provoked. HMPH. Marquis Liu Yin merged with the world in an instant and disappeared from sight. All over Huyang City, countless cultivators looked up, but due to the thick clouds obscuring their view, they only saw the waste area of an endless, imposing godly body clad in a massive black robe, imposing a terrifying pressure on them. A godly body as tall as the heavens. Marquis of Zhujiang looked upward, knowing that focusing on the physical body to reach the pinnacle of primal chaos realm was terrifying, but facing such an imposing godly body directly, the oppressive feeling was overwhelmingly intense. Moyu Qingyang looked up, her eyes somewhat glazed over. Is this my master? Luo Feng stood with his feet planted on the ground, and his head touching the edge of the starry sky, looking down at the tiny figure of Marquis Liu Yin as he merged into the heavens and the earth and disappeared from sight. I am extremely strong in close combat, but my means of trapping an enemy are quite lacking. Marquis Liu Yin could leave as he wished, and I could not stop him at all, thought Luo Feng. After all, he had only stepped into the pinnacle of primal chaos realm for a relatively short period. This battle made the outside world regard him as a cultivator fixated on his physical body, at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm. But Luo Feng was well aware that his physical body was so strong partly because his perfect divine body had grown to its limit, and was comparable to the top of the primal chaos realm. On the other hand, by comprehending various transformation methods with the formless and intangible ability, these transformation methods were even more effective than some body-refining methods for him. At the extreme growth of the perfect divine body, its most basic composition was still divine power. As for the transformation method, its most basic units contained life spirituality, and it had undergone a qualitative change. The change in form had made the perfect divine body much more formidable. Who? Luo Feng instantly shrank back to his normal size, and landed within the city owner's mansion. Brother Luo He, Marquis of Zhujiang approached excitedly at that moment, his face full of gratitude and with a very humble posture. I never expected that our small Zhujiang primal chaos prefecture would have Brother Luo He come to live in seclusion. It truly is a blessing for our entire prefecture. Previously, I mistook Brother Luo He for an eternal true god and was truly negligent, so negligent. Marquis of Zhujiang is too kind, said Luo Feng. Speaking of which, he had met Marquis of Zhujiang only a handful of times, so naturally, their feelings for each other were not very deep. However, during those few interactions, Marquis of Zhujiang had been quite generous. When Marquis Liu Yin initially made a move, Marquis of Zhujiang also helped to intercept, and Luo Feng felt quite fond of Marquis of Zhujiang. Brother Luo He, I've prepared some ordinary food and drinks. Let's sit down and talk. Marquis of Zhujiang had already arranged everything, warmly leading the way. Please, Luo Feng nodded, and at the same time, he glanced at Moyu Qingyang and Morosa in the distance, nodding slightly. Moyu Qingyang was somewhat excited. To think my master is so powerful, various thoughts emerged in Moyu Qingyang's mind, feeling as if she were floating on air. It was all too surreal. Of course, the master is powerful, Morosa remarked from nearby. Lord Luo Sir, the outside world once thought you were the master's protector, Moyu Qingyang whispered. I'm not worthy to be the master's protector. I am truly just a servant, Morosa said with a sigh, speaking the truth as even his soul had been enslaved. He was an absolute servant. Morosa knew very well. His master, Luo Feng, was a cultivator, who could naturally blend in with some of the major forces of the land of origin. But as for himself, Morosa, he had to hide in the shadows, and even making a move required much consideration. Speaking of which, it was the master who was his protector. Kid, seize the opportunity, Morosa said to Moyu Qingyang. To become the master's only disciple is your great fortune. You must treasure this chance. I understand, Moyu Qingyang nodded. Becoming the direct disciple of a being at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm was a tremendous opportunity, and she naturally needed to act cautiously and considerately. Morosa watched this scene. This lucky child. The master was not merely a common figure at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm. At this moment, the conversation between Morosa and Moyu Qingyang, seen from afar by other cultivators, was enviable. Is this the strength of Lord Luo He? General Yuewu, Moli Xiao, Lord of Huyang City, and a host of eternal true gods were all shocked. This being actually shed tears listening to Araya's music. To my music, the Dream Flower Tower master thought to himself, probably moved at heart, thus shedding tears, indeed true to his emotions. This being, who is even stronger than Marquis Liu Yin, was actually willing to help me avenge my grievances. Jiarong Qi looked on from a distance. To many cultivators, this might be the first time they had seen such an immense divine body, and even Marquis of Zhujiang felt an extreme pressure. One could only imagine the shock it had on the spirit of ordinary cultivators. Flame Wind Pavilion. Brother Luo, he turned out to be a pinnacle of primal chaos realm existence. Emperor Chu Yu was quite emotional. It seems, however, that he is wholly devoted to godly body cultivation. His other aspects seem a bit weak. In the primal chaos realm, there are dozens in the land of origin who are adept at godly body cultivation. But those who stand as tall as heaven and earth. In the entire land of origin, figures at the pinnacle of primal chaos realm can be counted on one's fingers, the deputy pavilion master said with emotion. Being from the imperial clan of Flame Wind ancient country, his experience was very broad. Emperor Chuyu smiled. There's no need to fret too much. An unlimited godly body at the primal chaos realm, trying to grow tall enough to match heaven and earth is extremely difficult. Those who focus on body refinement are seeking a stronger godly body, not height. Take for instance, the well-renowned Marquis Minghua, from my Flame Wind ancient country, who focuses on body refinement. His form is not imposing, yet he has reached the level of transcendence of primal chaos realm, able to contend with some ordinary godly kings without falling behind. Pinnacle of primal chaos realm, in some fringe nations, is considered the strongest in the primal chaos realm. Yet, in the two great ancient countries, there exist those who are beyond the pinnacle of primal chaos realm, and have reached an unimaginable level. If the pinnacle of primal chaos realm was where one's realm touched the threshold of godly king, then the beings at the transcendence of primal chaos realm have a nature of power at the godly king level. However, such beings are scarce, almost all residing in the two great ancient countries. Luo, he being able to suppress Marquis Liu Yin naturally means he's somewhat stronger. But he couldn't even force out any of Marquis Liu Yin's life-saving secret techniques. Showing that his advantage is limited, Emperor Chuyu smiled. Once he becomes a guest elder for Emperor Chu's lineage, with better nurturing, I believe he will achieve even greater accomplishments. Being the first to invite a cultivator to the position of guest elder in the primal chaos realm was indeed promising, and Emperor Chuyu was very happy about it. He knew very well that with the imperial 13 branches, competition was fierce. The stronger his assistants, the smoother his own path would be. If he could take one more step and reach the level of transcendence of primal chaos realm, the help he brings would be much greater, the deputy pavilion master said. In the Flame Wind ancient country, the ancient god kings naturally held high status. But in the primal chaos realm, only the transcendental beings of primal chaos realm held a high enough status. The imperial 13 branches, each branches imperial members of the primal chaos realm, the numerous disciples under emperor's tutelage, as well as the disciples of god kings, who served as guest elders, and even some independent cultivators of the primal chaos realm, the competition was too fierce. The pinnacle of primal chaos realm. They were barely noticeable among them. Many existences at the pinnacle ultimately chose to leave the Flame Wind ancient country. I am worried about one thing, the deputy pavilion master said. I have never heard of such a powerful being before, and now suddenly a pinnacle of primal chaos realm appears. What's there to worry about? Emperor Chuyu laughed. At worst, it's just a transmigrated god king. Indeed, some powerful beings in the land of origin could transmigrate. But for the Flame Wind ancient country, these were just little waves in the endless ocean. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the Huyang City Lord's mansion, within a graceful building, Luo Feng sat opposite Marquis of Zhujiang. This time, I truly have Brother Luo He to thank, Marquis of Zhujiang said with deep emotion. In this era, I've traveled across most of the land of origin, visiting many friends, seeking a strong ally. But I couldn't invite even one. Luo Feng also understood. Marquis Liu Yin, a fierce and overbearing figure, who stopped at nothing to achieve his goals, made other pinnacles of the primal chaos realm cautious about becoming his enemy. It was Luo Feng, who came to the land of origin through the Samsara channel, who had no attachments, acting even more unrestrainedly. If the entire human race was in the land of origin, and his family and friends were all here, he too would have to think thrice. I understand their difficulties, and I can't offer enough to invite them either. Marquis of Zhujiang looked at Luo Feng, moved. And this time, I merely paid a negligible 1 billion cosmic sand, yet Brother Luo, he helped me preserve my fief. I really don't know what to say. I want to thank Brother Luo He, but I can't offer anything of sufficient value. Marquis of Zhujiang had invested all his resources in his own cultivation. His weapon secret treasures were too important to himself. To thank someone, he truly didn't have any treasures valuable enough. After much thought, Marquis of Zhujiang looked at Luo Feng. Brother Luo He lives in seclusion in Huyang, and has helped the citizens of Huyang on multiple occasions. You must care a lot about this Huyang city. So I've decided to gift this Huyang city to Brother Luo He. From now on, Huyang city only needs to pay 20% of the residence fee to the God Kings. Everything else belongs to Brother Luo He, including all matters of administration in Huyang city. It's all for Brother Luo He to decide. From now on, Huyang city is Brother Luo He's city. Marquis of Zhujiang looked at Luo Feng. I find it hard to repay the great kindness of Brother Luo He this time. You must accept Huyang city. Luo Feng was taken aback. Granting a city. After all, Huyang city was within the territory of Yu Kingdom, so paying 20% of the residence fee to the God Kings was mandatory. The other 80% of the residence fees, including some of the city's resource outputs, would all go to him. Marquis of Zhujiang, it won't be long before I head to the Flame-Wind ancient country. I won't be able to oversee this Huyang city, Luo Feng said. Brother Luo He, with your current reputation, if you leave a divine power incarnation here, who would dare offend? Marquis of Zhujiang immediately said, as for city management, naturally, there are subordinates to handle it. Also, I have a selfish motive. After Brother Luo He leaves Huyang, Marquis Liu Yin is likely to get ideas again. Marquis of Zhujiang looked at Luo Feng. But if Huyang city becomes Brother Luo He's city, Marquis Liu Yin will definitely not dare to offend again. In reality, I am using a city to preserve my entire fief. Luo Feng looked at Marquis of Zhujiang's expectant gaze, thought for a moment, and then nodded. All right, then I'll accept it. Huyang city was the first city he lived in when he came to the land of origin, holding some special significance. And indeed, his presence in the city would definitely deter Marquis Liu Yin from harboring any thoughts of offense. Ha ha ha, thank you, Brother Luo He. Marquis of Zhujiang was overjoyed. The entire fief's income, besides the 3 large cities, included 189 ordinary cities. While the income from a single ordinary city was lower, the total could match up to 2 large cities. In actuality, by giving away 1/5 of his fief, he retained the greater portion, and also secured a pinnacle-level strong ally. It was extremely worthwhile. With Brother Luo He's intervention, this war has come to an end, Marquis of Zhujiang said. Now that Heart Shadow sect is trapped inside the city, what does Brother Luo He plan to do with them? What to do? Luo Feng pondered. The core treasures of this Heart Shadow sect are hidden by the 2 primal chaos realm cultivators, who have escaped, Marquis of Zhujiang said. The Heart Shadow sect's eternal true gods, don't have any treasures of great value on them. It's not worth Brother Luo his time to deal with them. In that case, I'll send my men to loot Heart Shadow sect, and all the treasures will belong to Brother Luo he. As for the Heart Shadow sect itself, let them go. That way, the outside world can't accuse Brother Luo he of being a bully, Marquis of Zhujiang said. What does Brother Luo he think? The primal chaos realm cultivators, as long as they do not offend him, generally don't bully the weak. Loot their treasures, and let them go. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. When they were rampaging and massacring freely within Huyang City, they had already offended me. Marquis of Zhujiang was taken aback. Since they like to massacre and loot so much, there's no need for Heart Shadow sect to exist anymore. They can be disbanded, Luo Feng said. As for those eternal true gods, investigate each one. Not a single one who participated in the massacre within Huyang City shall be spared. Execute all of them. As for those who didn't partake in the massacre, let them go. Saw the novel, F.I.et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Disband Heart Shadow sect. Marquis of Zhujiang couldn't help but say, Heart Shadow sect still has 2 primal chaos realm cultivators out there. Doing so would absolutely offend those 2. If offense leads to offense, so be it. What can they do? Luo Feng looked at Marquis of Zhujiang. I don't have as good a temper as Great Saint Zhu Yuan. This video will end here.